In a galactic war, the side that outproduces the other usually wins. The Dark Overlord has built that advantage on absolute scale. This is capital-intensive production. It happens when a firm's budget is weighted heavily toward capital, machinery, high-tech automation, and massive facilities, rather than human labor. Because these machines run around the clock, the Overlord gains massive economies of scale. When you divide the staggering cost of the factory across millions of identical ships, the average cost of producing each starfighter drops to a fraction of its original price. However, this strategy requires enormous upfront funding, creating a barrier that few rivals can afford. It's also rigid. If the rebels find a weakness in the ship's design, retooling an entire automated line to fix it takes months. And if a single automated subsystem fails, the entire factory goes dark. The Overlord has traded agility for pure mechanized volume, establishing a production benchmark that traditional hand-built methods cannot reach. In a small repair shop on the outer rim, a farm boy builds custom ship parts by hand, one weld at a time. This is labor-intensive production. The cost of human skill and effort is the primary expense here, much like the work of a surgeon or a private counselor. This approach is highly flexible and requires very little initial investment. The boy can customize every part to a client's exact specifications without needing a billion-dollar assembly line. But human labor is slow and expensive, output remains low, the cost per unit stays high, and the entire process is susceptible to human fatigue and error. When the rebel leader arrives with a request for a massive combat fleet, the limits of this workshop become a liability. No matter how many hours the farm boy works, human effort alone cannot scale fast enough to match the output of a mechanized empire. A swamp mentor interrupts the panic, suggesting that the rebels are measuring the wrong thing. They are focused on production, the total number of ships the Overlord can churn out. In a contest of raw numbers, the empire will always win. Productivity is different. It measures efficiency, how well resources are used to generate that output. Labor productivity specifically tracks the total output generated per worker. When output per worker increases, a smaller workforce can achieve the same results as a much larger one. To compete, the rebels don't need a larger army. They need to increase the amount of work each individual rebel can perform. There are three main ways to do this. First is education and training, upskilling workers so they can work faster and solve technical problems more effectively. Second is motivation. Improving morale and working conditions reduces sick days and ensures the crew stays focused on the mission. Third is technology. Providing workers with better tools and automation allows their human effort to yield a significantly higher output. Combining skilled human labor with advanced tools creates a multiplier effect that pure automation misses. The rebel leader shifts strategy. To mass-produce their fleet, they must move away from purely labor-intensive methods. The process begins with investment, spending funds to acquire advanced machinery. This investment provides the workforce with better capital equipment. With better tools, workers reach a higher level of productivity, generating more units for every hour of labor. Increasing the output per worker mathematically lowers the average cost of every ship, making the rebel fleet competitive on a galactic scale. This strategic investment chain allows the rebels to match the Overlord's massive volume without sacrificing their crucial operational agility. The new fleet reflects a dual approach. The rebels use capital-intensive production for their standard mass-market base ships to keep costs low, but they keep highly trained, labor-intensive squads for specialized missions where human flexibility is the deciding factor. Whether a process is capital or labor-intensive depends entirely on the proportion of costs spent, not just the total budget. The farm boy watches the ship's launch, knowing that balancing mass production with targeted investment in human skill is what allowed them to tip the scales.